Equality March, the Rally for Equality in Washington, D.C. I decided I was going to go to this Rally for Equality. I brought 50 people with me from Minnesota, and we did what we're going to do tomorrow. Same thing. And I met Eileen, and I met Susan, I met wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people here. And Beretta Strickland accompanied me. So what we have done this year, ERA Minnesota, is that we were the first sponsors of the Women's March effort from Minnesota. So we were the first sponsors. I gave them all the personal contacts of the most diverse platform of women speaking in St. Paul. So we had Ilhan Omar, our first, I mentioned Muslim, not the first Muslim, but the first Somali American in the United States to be elected to our state to our state house. Various folks like that, and Patricia Torres Ray, etc. So we did that. We introduced 2 pieces of legislation, which I want to share with you because you can take this home to your state. We have the Minnesota ERA, which Minnesota did ratify, but we never passed an equal rights amendment into our state constitution. So we've been trying to get that into our state constitution, and if we are the next state to do it, we would be the 24th state in the nation to have an equal rights amendment in our constitution. So you can take that home with you, okay? And the other thing that we will pass eventually, if not this year, is our resolution to Congress to remove the deadline on the ERA, which is the 3-state strategy. Take away the deadline and pass the Equal Rights Amendment through 3 more states and finally ratify equal rights into our U.S. Constitution so that we have access to justice equally in America. So that's what we've been doing. One other thing is that we expected 10,000 people in St. Paul yesterday, and 100,000 showed up. Oh, I can't tell you how good that felt. It was fabulous. And you know, the press just kept on ignoring and ignoring and ignoring. We kept tweaking and tweaking. I got letters to the editor. I got on the radio. I did all these things to get it in. Of course, I interviewed on my show the 3 of the main organizers for Minnesota, and I did everything to amplify that voice because that's what I'm doing right now. But today I looked at the paper. There must have been a dozen pictures in the St. Paul Minneapolis Star Tribune, and they had about 5 articles. It was fabulous. It was just fabulous. So you can tell I'm a little energized by yesterday. Yesterday was, we will remember this for the rest of our lives. We will never forget what happened yesterday. And we're going to take that voice forward now. The most expedient way, I believe, and I believe you believe this, to achieve equal rights in America is by finally, after 240 years, passing the Equal Rights Amendment and embedding equal rights into our U.S. Constitution so that we get that strict scrutiny that allows us to have equal justice in America. So you all know, or many of you will know, that Senator Cardin's bill is S.J. Res. 5 this year. S.J. Res. 5. S.J. Res. 5. It's the quickest way to pass the ERA, to remove the deadline, which is in the preamble. It's not in the actual language, the 24 words. So we need to pass it through those 3 more states. That's the quickest way because it's a simple majority to pass it. So tomorrow, we meet in room 325 of the Russell Building on the Senate side to pick up our packet of letters. We're each going to take 1 letter around. So we're going to pick up our packet of letters asking all of the members of Congress to sign on as a co-sponsor of the 3-state strategy legislation. So in the Senate, it's been introduced. In the House, it has not yet been introduced. Okay. And Senator Jackie Spears is trying to get 150 co-authors. So in the House side, you're going to ask people to be an original co-sponsor. On the Senate side, we'll ask them to be a sponsor. On the House side, we'll ask them to be an original co-sponsor. So that's the language, and we'll reaffirm that tomorrow morning. Real quickly, wear good shoes. Don't waste your time or theirs. When you get into a congressional office, I worked on the Hill. I was a congressional staffer. You can ask for the congressperson. The answer will be no, 99.9% of the time. You can ask for the legislative director. The answer will be no, 90% of the time. You could ask for the person who works on equal rights issues, and the answer will be maybe, 30% of the time you might get that. Or you're talking to the receptionist. Take 2 minutes with the receptionist. Say what you're going to say, then say it, and then say you said it, and you're out of there. That's all the time you need. That's all the time you need. You take the information and you ask them, please put this before the congressperson. But if you can get through, then spend all the time you want. I mean, I spent with Veretta, we spent a half hour with Kari Moe, Keith Ellison's chief of staff, but then I worked in that office. So, you do that. But so spend a short time, and then remember that 72% of Americans think that we have equal rights in America, or that the Equal Rights Amendment already passed. So our biggest challenge is education. And that's why we do this every day, all the time. We're just going to keep going. And last, our mission, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to be foot soldiers for the world's marchers. Because it wasn't one and done. This is our task. We take this message forward for the millions, the 4.5 million people who marched yesterday. 4.5, wow. That's one count. So keep calm and demand equality. We won't stop until we have equal access to equality through the Equal Rights Amendment. This is our galvanizing moment right now. This is it. Yeah. We will achieve equality. We will achieve equal pay for equal work. We'll achieve, and particularly for women and people of color, women of color, we will achieve, we will overcome pregnancy discrimination. We'll eliminate sexual violence. We will have health care laws that allow for reproductive health and justice, and we will also be fighting for laws that unjustly affect men. So with that, remember, we are the majority, and we will win. God bless you.